Hello, I'm Thomas Hare, Chief Content Officer of the Performance Driven Marketing Institute, a not-for-profit trade association serving companies in the performance and direct-to-consumer marketing world. Welcome to the latest episode of Take 20, created by the PDMI's Brand Response Council. These 20-minute live conversations featuring leaders in the performance marketing world speaking about the hottest topics in the industry are scheduled twice a month. Before we get to today's conversation, a housekeeping note: we'll be addressing any questions from the audience at the end of the session, but you don't have to wait to ask them. Utilize the questions tab on your control panel. Type and send your question in, and we'll be collecting them, and we'll try to get to as many as possible in the final moments of this episode. As we close out our 2023 schedule, Take 20 host and Brand Response Council Chair Chris Foster of Modern Postcard welcomes 5 fellow council members: Urban Legends Jack Barrett, Modus Direct's Carey Chase, Script to Screen's Alex Dinsmoor, NuSpark Consulting's Paul Mosenson, and Conductor Productions Mike Wilmot, as each of them share a 7-word description of the year, followed by a more thorough explanation about what happened for their businesses in the performance marketing industry as a whole during the past 12 months. Folks, we expect some great thought-provoking insights, some opportunities to celebrate, moments to reflect. We look forward to hearing your thoughts here in the final episode of the year. Chris, everyone, take it away.
Great, thank you so much, Thomas. Welcome in, everybody, and happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah, happy Yule, Merry Christmas. Whatever you're celebrating, I hope that you're celebrating it with style and with joy and with your family and your friends. Really excited to talk about the year, and we always get reflective about the past year towards the end of the year, so why not do this professionally, right? Most of us do it personally. We have some kind of goals. Most businesses now are in the throes of their 2024 planning, their strategic visions and things they want to do. But so oftentimes, to prepare for the future, I think you have to take a realistic understanding of the present and the past, right? To do that in order to move forward, understand kind of where you are and where you've been, so you can help prepare where you want to go. So with that, we're going to kind of load in and hear what folks have to say. Paul, we're going to start with you. It's 7 words or less, and then kind of a color commentary of why you chose that and what it all means. So Paul, you're up.
Thank you. Nice being here, everybody. Well, obviously, there's a phrase here that we're all digesting in 2023 into 2024. It's, well, that's more than 7 words. But let's just say AI drives personalized ad experiences, right? We're all into AI, and you know what? I guess in summary, it makes things easier. It's ideation, it's faster. Does it replace the human mind? No, but the human mind is different now. It's just another way to research, anything that we need to figure out for clients, whether it's trends, marketing messages, target audience strategies, whatever it is. It's like a complement. It's like a virtual assistant in a way, right? And I think we all have to utilize it and not be afraid of it. It just depends how you use it. People play with it, they try different things, but it's got to be, it can be part of a strategy, with anything we do in advertising, especially when you get to personalization. We've always had some kind of AI out there, machine learning. That's what ad optimization is anyway, right? Automatically moving impressions around on ad platforms based on click-through rate, right? And a human's not doing that, AI is, or machine learning. But it's just going to continue evolving, and again, it's nothing to be afraid of. I know people worry about jobs and things, but it's how you use it in the big picture of marketing campaigns as part of your strategy.
Perfect. I love it. I think that's very appropriate, and there will be more discussions about artificial intelligence. I think we also will be doing the PDMI East panel from the Brand Response Council. Will focus on ad tech and AI and ad tech right now. So there's a lot more discussion to have. Paul, that was a great way to start it off. To your left is Mike. Mike?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. So we're in the creative production business, so looking at things a little bit differently than Paul is. And I'm going to define it in sort of 3 words and talk about each of them as how it affected our business in 23. First one being caution. And I think everyone would agree there was an irrational lack of confidence on both the corporate and consumer side that was constantly fanned by the media all year long, or by others who, if talking in that context, somehow brought attention to what they were doing or what their agenda may be. And I think that absolutely impacted budgetary and strategic decisions, especially those involving any type of risk. And for us, that may be, investing in new types of, and producing new types of assets, or in media strategies that may be a little bit less unproven, that also may have flowed down into work that we would have or would not have created. And I think there was this overall perspective of out there, we're all paying more for less. And meanwhile, you had customers and prospects demanding less for more. And those things just didn't line up in many cases. And that was particularly true on the new business front. It was just a hard thing for us to compete in some ways. And I think that leads me to the second word, which is value. And value can be defined so many different ways by all the different stakeholders in what we do for our clients, or prospective clients for that matter. It was very, very bottom line focused, meaning what is the cost of what you're going to be doing for me, not necessarily what is the value in how you approach and produce high performing assets. It's more, let's just start with the cost. And it's a very difficult environment, Alex, I'm sure you'd agree, to compete in when it's very bottom line, black and white focused. For us, we define value as being strategic, as being creative, as being efficient, and calculating that value based on all those things together and what that affords your business in the long term. Much more difficult to have that conversation with folks. I think there's also, value is also about performance. Certainly, that's never been more important, and it's a core factor in every value equation. So we can never lose sight of that. And then lastly, I think from a media perspective, and for us, we partner with a number of different media firms. Who's on top of the latest trends in mediums and strategies and tech and optimizations, and how do we partner with them to supercharge those buys with great creative. And just, again, having clients understand that equation and how that benefits them. You may be paying more, a little bit more in the short term, but you're gaining more in the long. And then last, I'll say that my third word is legacy. For us, our best source of growth was from legacy or warm referral clients who really understood what we as Conductor brought to the table, so that we didn't have to fight that fight to get them there and could focus more on the job at hand. And then it allowed, I think because of that, we dedicated more resources to cultivating those relationships and continuing them and growing them, because I think going forward, they're still going to be at the core of any growth that we have. And I'd also say that new business from colder outreach, net new colder outreach, was extremely difficult last year. Just sort of getting to the conversations was hard, and then having the conversations, they were had in the context of all the stuff I was just talking about. So it was definitely harder. So again, it's caution, value, and legacy for me.
Mike, I thought that was brilliant. What I really am impressed by is how you turn those abstract ideas into real practical insight. And that was very, very well done, and really tied it into the story of your business this year. That was beautiful.
Well, you know what? I'm just glad I went early, because I'm sure you're going to hear a lot of the same themes. So I appreciate that, Chris.
Absolutely. Right above you is Carey. Carey, you're up.
All right. I kind of felt the same way, that I wanted to go early. So it's also interesting how everybody's taken this assignment, if you will. I came up with kind of a phrase that has 6 words that kind of encapsulates how we felt about this coming from the media perspective. And that is also one of my favorite Tom Petty songs, which is "The waiting is the hardest part." And the reason why...
You're singing it for us, right, Carey? You're going to sing the line?
No. You feel free, though. Hey, now you've tempted me. Maybe at the end. So the reason why is, from a media perspective, this has really felt like a transitional year. And it kind of touches on the points of both Paul, AI emerging, but it doesn't feel like we've been able to, from a media standpoint, been able to harness that and really use it. But we see it coming, and we're evaluating how we can employ it in a great way. It was also, from what Mike was saying, kind of the legacy and the value and all of those elements. It, again, feels transitional. We're looking at it. We're also looking at it next year from CTV and digital, and from a performance standpoint, getting those CPMs down and making sure that it's really efficient across all the areas that our clients are really focusing in on. Sometimes we've seen success, sometimes we haven't, but we know that it's the future. From a media perspective also, and one of the other Take 20s that we talked about, politics and the Olympics, that's next year. How can we plan this year? What can we plan? It's out there, it's going to be difficult. How can we really help a client navigate that this year, is, you know, and trying to put that into the plans, or at least trying to manage expectations from a budget perspective. So all of those things have kind of come to making me think this year is good, and we've had a good year, but it almost feels like we're taking a breath for what we're going to see really kind of hone into and take root next year.
I love it. I think that that's fantastic, and it's kind of you know, I've been old enough to be in business to see these kind of cycles where you see the hints of something, but that hasn't yet materialized or fully formed. So everyone's prepared for it, but they don't want to make over plans without planning for it. But you can't plan as it's baked into your own work because it's not quite ready, right? So there's in the SEO world, they're talking about AI doing generative SEO, which for SEO brands and SEO companies, it completely changes everything if AI can start doing some of this stuff. So hedging your bets on what kind of investment you make on SEO is challenging right now because you have to take it into consideration, but it's not quite ready. That was wonderful. And I'm really waiting for you to sing that line maybe at the end. I think we can nail it.
We'll use it as a tease or a cautionary tale.
You have to watch the entire episode to get to that at the end. All right, Jack, you're right next to Carey. You're up.
Okay, great. Let's see. I'm going to hyphenate a couple of words to get some more mileage. My 7 words are AI, of course, brand storytelling, hyphenated, authenticity, hashtag streaming, data-driven, polyworking, and customer retention.
Wow, you did it.
Kind of things that, so I think one of the things for me, and I think a lot of people, 2023 reminded us how important the power of story and authenticity is to for a brand trying to connect with a customer. And we see a lot of books about that lately and a lot of effort in that. And I think that's a great trend because people care about people. It reminds us people care about people, and they kind of buy the things that they don't buy a thing, I guess it's been phrased a lot. They buy what the thing does for them. So, and that's been great for us, remembering that. The other word was polyworking that kind of struck me, and that's because in the past, I think for marketers, there's been a stay in your lane approach to your roles as a marketer, and now we're all playing shortstop. We have to do a lot of things. We're prompt writers now. We're strategists. We have to understand strategy, and we're all responsible for some level of business development, I think. So I see us all playing a lot of roles. And then the AI part, one thing that struck me the most about that this year is not the impact of AI, but it was a reminder that I think we all have to be perpetual students. So as much as AI has impacted what we're doing, what I spent a lot of time this year doing is just learning it. And so that was kind of refreshing in a way to have to start learning something that I really didn't know that much about, and in a 101 course sort of way. So I had AI help me write a haiku about all my words, and it came out something like this: 2023's tales told, stories and truth intertwined, AI shapes, roles redefined.
Freaking mic drop. That was awesome. Leave it to the creative to throw some artistry and poetry at the end. That was beautiful, Jack. And I love how you brought AI in. The polyworking phrase, I've never heard it before. So thank you for sharing that and passing that phrase on. What I know when I look at new hires is that I'm looking for a multi-dimensional talent coming out of school, or youngsters who are first starting their career. The greatest risk to silos in the marketing world or in the performance world is that you don't develop a multi-dimensional perspective and a multi-dimensional skill set. You have to be an analyst in some part of your brain in order to understand how the analytics work to fuel good creative. You have to be creative and imaginative with how you look at numbers to figure out what story it's telling, right? So there's no one path that should limit folks. And I think that what I'm hoping is that as this generation comes through, we're getting more multidimensional so that polyworking becomes more of the norm and we get better shortstops as in our hires. That was excellent. Excellent. Alex, you're up.
I don't know how I'm supposed to follow a haiku.
I know, right? I was going to say that. I'm so glad I'm not after Jack.
Yeah, so I'm also being on the creative side and really working with brands to develop their content. I agree with really all of what Mike had outlined, and I think you guys have talked about some very practical and tactical aspects of this last year. I approached this as from a little bit of a marketing sentiment side, standpoint, a brand sentiment. What are we seeing from our clients? I think on the creative side, we can be a bit of the canary in the coal mine because we're thinking, we're dealing with stuff that's further ahead because we're really, at least a month, 3 months, 6 months ahead in terms of the planning. I don't know if we had this panel last year at this time, but I can tell you if I was asked this at the end of 2022, my words would have been stop, drop, and roll. Would have been the what last year was, because all of the marketers had really just stopped, and with all the inflation, all these fears, basically it just seemed like marketers said, let's just stop, no new initiatives, reevaluate everything, and we're going to wait and see. And so when I look at this year, and I'm hopeful for it because, and it took some time over the year, but as we have been dealing with brands and internal clients and outreach, I'm seeing some more positive signs. And so I'm going to throw a shout out to my dad here for these words that kind of encapsulate this last year. He's a Navy man, fan of naval quotes, and there's a famous Navy quote from a Union admiral in the Civil War who said, "Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead." And so that's how I feel like a lot of the clients are. Maybe it's not full speed ahead, but I think clients are saying, you know what, there's a lot of obstacles, there's a lot that we don't know, there's emerging technologies, emerging things, but we can't do nothing. We have to move forward. And so that's what we've been seeing in a lot of these conversations with clients are we're coming out of this uncertainty state, saying, even with everything that's going on geopolitically, we've got to keep moving forward. And so that's where I'm very hopeful. Things have been trending very positive, and so we'll see where 2024 goes. But that's kind of from a marketing sentiment standpoint and what we felt with brands. That's my explanation for the words that I used for 2023.
I love it, Alex. And what I really love about that is the sense of optimism, right? And kind of this inexorable push towards optimism and growth, because if what we know to be true is that indecision is fatal for brands. And what we know to be true is that if you don't do anything, your competitors are certainly not doing nothing, right? And so keeping your brand moving forward and making sure you continue to market, especially if there's a fear of a downturn. I thought that, Mike, I thought your comments were very insightful, that there was this alarm about the economy, but all the metrics have indicated over time that if you market during a bad economy, you come out better when the economy resumes. You come out better than your competitors. So marketing into downturn is absolutely the smartest strategy, and it's been proven time and time again. So yes, Alex, full steam ahead. Come on. Well, this was awesome. I get my turn. Mine's a little bit different. It's not as poetic as Jack's, but it's more of a kind of this image that I had where my 7 words are channels weave together to make a tapestry. And the reason I say that is that coming from the direct mail space, we are an adjunct to brands and agencies omni-channel approach, right? A multi-channel marketing approach, whatever it is. And what we are trying to tell clients is that even though we slide in and we have a place, right? We have a place alongside digital and alongside CTV. It still has to communicate and integrate. And that what customers expect is not to see an individual thread, like one digital ad and one pause ad and one Facebook post and one email. They expect to see a tapestry from the brand. So they have a whole story that they understand what the story that the brand is telling them. And so anyway, weaving these channels together to form a tapestry is the only way that the customers will really understand the story. So anyway.
Chris?
Agreed.
All right, so we are at 11:22. Thomas, do we have any questions, or more importantly, do we have any 7 words or less from the audience that they want to come in and participate?
No 7 words or less, and I don't think "Oh Baby Don't It Feel Like Heaven Right Now" is less than 7 words. I reference back to Carey, one of my favorite songs of all time. Absolutely. So cheers to you, Carey.
And Damn the Torpedoes is another Tom Petty album.
I have another one.
Right. I don't know what that means.
That's true. That's true.
You want to hear another one?
In a perfect world, what is your best case expectation for 2024?
For marketing or the world?
That we're actually all still here.
Let's limit it to our universe of performance marketing.
Well, if it's performance, I think we should say, like, keep learning how to report and analyze campaigns. It's always evolving. Attribution, all the tools that are out there, and between your message and the medium and the offers, like, keep working on figuring out what works.
From a media perspective, I would also say as little disruption as possible. I mean, it's going to happen, but there's things that we can kind of count on. I think the fact that kind of going into an unknown situation, what it looks like, but it doesn't feel like that's how it's going to end. And if there are some clear signs early on, then I think then it just allows, from a media standpoint, us to plan a little bit, and that helps kind of create some actualities which we can hang our hat on.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe to echo Mike and Alex's point, I'd say less fear.
Yeah.
Less fear. Right.
Yeah.
And I would say just having everyone row in the same direction. I think with brands, and
that's a wish list. Come on now.
But I know it's not going to be perfect, but I think with the rise of streaming and trying to make sure that the pricing of media is appropriate for the cost that's being charged and the response that's we're in the performance marketing space, so I get we're a little bit concerned with impressions, but I think we want more action. So I think there's some of that, just it hasn't fully connected yet, and I think when that does, the marketplace will become like fully functional again. And so that's what I'm hopeful for.
About politics next year.
Mm-hmm.
Just
It's a
saying.
different webinar.
Wait, there's a,
Yeah, that's right.
is there something in politics next year?
Not till November, so we're fine.
This was a good one, and it's funny because the flip of the first question came in as well, but I'm going to wait on that one. There's a lot of talk about this year as a transitional year, and I think Alex kind of took a crack at some words for 2024. But if this year, if transition is one of the words of 2023, does anyone want to take a crack at what the word of 2024 might be? We're going down from 7 to 1.
Learning.
Yeah.
Learning.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping it's not chaos.
That's a line through it, like chaos, no chaos.
Right. No chaos. Right. Yeah. Just
Sit this one.
All
over.
right. And then like I said, the opposite of that first question. When you think about 2024, is there one thing that keeps you up at night?
A lot.
Yeah. Where do we start?
I got to run, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul. Happy holidays.
Thanks, Paul.
Perfect.
Paul's bolting on that one.
Yeah.
I got to go to ChatGPT and look it up. So.
Anyone?
I mean,
Go ahead, Alex.
So I was just going to say, trying to keep a balance is really a lot of different things coming at us all at the same time. And so trying to just handle each one with what is necessary to be successful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say unexpected events too, that again, a particular narrative may adopt as a, something to lean into to drive, some greater point that I think has been happening for the last 18 months in a much more sort of subtle drumbeat type of way. But if some, whether it's geopolitical or environmental or whatever, that just takes over again, gets in the way of making sound strategic directions, I think that's always looming out there.
I think that, what keeps me up at night is there was a phrase like that when my wife and I were, in the throes of our kids being younger, right, and moving around, and in those years, my wife's catchphrase was, "Girls, everybody's needs will be met," right? And my catchphrase was, "Guys, we don't have to freak out about this," right? And I think that what keeps me up at night is people freaking out. And it's our behavior and it's our response to things that are happening that are outside of our control. And so that's what I'm kind of telling even the team here. I'm like, there's certain things we can't control at all, but we can absolutely control our response.
Yeah, I agree with that, Chris, completely. And I think as I was thinking of that question, I think my response is a little bit similar. Is maybe it's not freaking out, but it's the shiny object issue. Like sometimes with clients, and it's times when if they're grasping at things, they and everyone wants to be first, but really this push towards something that's unproven or the shiny object. And there's so many things in our world, in our performance marketing world, that are proven, that are tried and true. Linear TV is still a huge thing, but people, there's this move to go, let's put all of our money in streaming or all in YouTube or something like that. I think people tend to move away from some very proven foundational things. And so that keeps me up a little bit, that I have to go into some of these marketing meetings where a client says, "Hey, what about this?" And it's distracting from the core goal, and what we're trying to do is to drive ROI for them in the most efficient way possible. So that's some of my frustrations and what keeps me up a bit.
I like that.
For me, it's that confusion and uncertainty will cause brands to stay on the sidelines longer.
That's a good one. That's a thoughtful one. Guys, thoughtful, very, very thoughtful stuff, everybody. It reminds me, and I'm gonna rejoin you here. Chris, to your point, and Alex, you picked up on a little bit. When you're in the middle of it with the kids and the reactions are coming at you hot and heavy, it does remind you that a lot of what goes on is based on how you react to it. And I think that's a really great reminder for all of us. I also think that, you know, we keep doing these year-end recaps and the look aheads, and we have our results magazine for December just came out today, and you have the fearless predictions for 2024 and some 10 words or less about 2023 from some of our members. The time flies by, and as we all kind of look ahead and try to execute our strategies, it reminds me of a parenting book I read this summer called Long Days, Short Years.
Yes.
And I think that is not just true in the parenting world, but also in our business world as things technologically continue to get more and more complex. So keep that in mind. I don't know what it all means, but we appreciate all of you sharing your thoughts here today, and also throughout the year. I mean, all of you who are still on the screen with me have been on multiple episodes of our webinars this year. Some of you have been on stage at our in-person events. So thank you always for being willing to share your expertise. I did mention that our latest issue of Results Magazine is out now. Visit resultsmagazine-digital.com to check out the December issue. Our next Take 20 episode is 4 weeks from today, Wednesday, January 10th, 2024. A group of leaders will discuss the changing nature of and consumers' changing responses to performance marketing calls to action in an episode titled CTA Roulette. Please visit thepdmi.com/take-20 to register for the webinar and check out the upcoming schedule. Finally, online registration continues for PDMI East April 8th through 10th next spring at Eden Rocks, Miami Beach. With a wide array of educational networking events planned for leaders like you, PDMI East will be performance marketers must attend event of the spring. Badges are just $3.95 for members and $5.95 for non-members. Plus, you'll put yourself at the head of the line to book your room at the host hotel if you get your badge today. Visit thepdmi.com/PDMI-East to get your badge. Thank you again for checking out this episode and every episode of PDMI's Take 20. Be well. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2024. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.